Hey y'all, I am back with another video. So this particular video will be me over the course of a few days rearranging things in the yard, from the lights to repositioning all of my grow bags on top of the pallets. I'm trying to get a feel of where exactly I want to put our new raised beds that we'll be adding. Also, you will see me going through the process of pulling up a lot of the old crops and such that were left over from the last season, amending the soil, up potting some of my seedlings into larger cup sizes and grow bags. So yeah, again, this is a compilation video over the course of a few days as I try to get the backyard to feel like my little backyard oasis. Knowing me, I'm probably going to change my mind and rearrange things probably 50, 11 times before I really get it the way I really want it, but only time will tell. But for now, I'm just trying to map it all out in my head. So for now, I feel like I have everything where I need it. I'm about to go through the process of pulling out all of my old crops that were left over from last season. I wanted to collect them all and like dig a little trench within one of these raised beds to add it as compost, but I ended up just throwing it all inside of one of our compost bins out in the back of the yard. Here is where my phone died, so I had to do a part two. And as you see, the lights did come on. I did turn them on prematurely because I did want to see which particular lights I needed to replace, either the bulbs or the string lights themselves. I do plan on adding more things to the yard, such as a tent, a canopy, and just a few more other items. All right, so here is where I am adding my compost mixture with a little bit of soil so that I can begin the process of transplanting some of our seedlings, as well as up potting some of the seedlings into new homes. To this mix, I'll be adding alfalfa meal as well as eggshells. I did grind, well, I dried in the oven because the dehydrator just took way too long. But I did dry some eggshells, and then I used a blender to blend up some eggshells basically into pretty much like a powder form, and blended it in with the soil. So in this grow bag, I ended up adding onions, garlic, and spinach. I did the onions and garlic as companion plants to help fight off any type of pest that may try to come and mess with that. In this next process, I am up potting some of my seedlings, the tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, only a few that I felt like were ready. But basically, I was using one of our little skewers, a metal skewer that we would typically grill with, because I didn't have anything else to put holes in these cups. But I'm adding 4 holes to the bottom for drainage, and then I'm taking some compost that we had from the company that came and dumped that in our driveway, but it has a mixture of just sand and compost. I'm adding a little bit of soil, and then I add the seedling to it, and then I backfill with more soil, like so. Personally, I'm not a fan of the Jiffy starter mix kits that uses the little mesh because when I was pulling a lot of the old leftover stuff from last season out of the garden beds, they were still in there. I found a lot of them just in the old dirt and compost. So I don't know. I just feel like going forward, I'm just going to keep taking those off. But to me, it's harder on the seedlings because you have to kind of like tug a bit because the roots and such is attached, and they're in there good. But I know that you're supposed to still be able to plant with them with no issues, but it was just, I don't know, personal preference, I guess. I'm not a fan. And I'm not a fan of those little trays that I'm taking the seedlings out of. They were much harder this time, so I won't be using those particular trays again. If anything, I think I'm going to buy a soil blocker, just so that I can just already have them already squared out or sectioned out and have standalone without them being in individual trays like that, because it was kind of difficult to pull the seedlings out without really breaking the stem. And I don't know, I don't know, maybe I was just a little too heavy-handed. So I am watering them now that I'm just about done. I'm using banana peels in my water. So that's a 5-gallon water container that I just threw old banana peels inside of. I let it sit out for about 2 days in water, and then I water all of the crops with it. I just reading up on it and just watching a bunch of tutorial videos and YouTube videos. Apparently the potassium is really, really good for the garden. So I'm just curious to see how much it'll help thrive. So we'll see. This was my ginger. I started this ginger back in January, February of last year. And so throughout the year, it's been indoors in the house. I never brought it outside. And so I started with store-bought ginger and just chopped up a couple of pieces, probably like 3 or 4 pieces, small. And then I buried them in the dirt, and they grew lots of stems and leaves. And throughout the year, we've just been pulling out just to kind of see how it's been going and see what it was doing. And we've had a few in between. We never used them just because I felt like they just looked like they were not ready yet. And so I just left it. And then recently the stems started turning brown. So I was like, let me just go ahead and pull it out. And I wanted to reuse that pot. And to my surprise, we actually still had some more in there. So I went ahead and just dug through and pulled the rest of them out. And then I transplanted the rosemary in its place. I did amend the soil and then just up potted the rosemary just to give it more space. But I do want this to be like a full-on rosemary pot. So moving on to the larger bed, everything you see here was overwintered. So the onions I planted last spring or summer, I can't remember which, but they overwintered, so they were already there. As well as there is still asparagus on that far end over there where you see the tomato cages and such. I just left all of that. I'm curious to see what it would do. This is me amending with the alfalfa meal and the eggshells again, just to kind of spruce up what was already down before I go ahead and add in the cow manure and the mushroom and such, and just amend and add the new seedlings to this bed as well. So I am trying to figure out best placement for what I want to put in this bed. Again, we already still have asparagus and some onions still that overwintered, but I'll be adding lettuce to one side as well as a collard. I have a couple of them in that tray, but I'm only going to put one collard green in that bed just because I'm not sure how large it's going to get, and I know it requires a lot more space. So the hubby jumped in with his suggestions. I had an idea and a vision of what I wanted in the beds, but again, my thoughts always change because I'm thinking companion plants and flowers and other herbs, but also we are going to be adding 2 additional beds out back. So I was able to kind of space it out a little bit better with knowing what I'm going to plant in my next few beds. So in this bed, I'll be adding onions, Brussels sprouts, and then direct sowing carrots on the opposite end of this bed. So this is the hubby coming in with his sub irrigation setup that he put into these beds when he first built them last year. Fighting with the hose. And this is baby girl adding the garlic to that bed. Here are the seedlings that I potted. And this is my setup currently. I'm still not a fan of the setup. This is a ginger that I harvested. And I'm all done for now. For now. Before you head out, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel.